Hello and welcome to JRL Learning Hub, a channel dedicated to help CAD users, engineers and students. And in this video I'm going to show you how to use the TRIM command. So let's get started. Okay, so the sequence of steps to using TRIM. You click on Trim, which can be found on the Modify toolbar. The software will ask you then to select a cutting plane or a cutting edge. So you go ahead and select the cutting plane. Once you've done that, you press Enter. The software will then ask you to select the object that you want to trim. So go ahead and do that and then press Enter to complete the command. Trim is useful for cutting sections off of lines, generally tidying up drawings. To perform trim, you need two things. You need the line that you want to trim, and you need another line to act as your cutting plane or cutting edge. So if we look at the right hand view, we can see that there's a vertical line that crosses over an angled line. Doesn't quite meet the top angled line, but as long as the line that you want to trim crosses over the plane of the line that you're using as a cutting plane, the line will trim. So let's look at this first example. On the left hand side we've got a completed image after we've performed trim to the right hand side. So we go up to the command trim, it's on the Modify toolbar, click on trim. The software now wants me to select an object. The object that it wants me to select is a cutting edge, and my cutting edge is going to be this vertical line. So we click on that and then we press Enter. Now it's asking me to select the line that I want to trim. So we want to take off this section here. So we just now go ahead and click on it. And now it looks like on the left hand side. Now despite the vertical line not quite reaching the top line, if we click it, it will still trim back because the angled line crosses over the path or the plane of the vertical line. So as long as that's the case, it will trim. And then we press Enter when we're finished. So if we go back into trim, this time we need to click on this line as our cutting plane, press Enter, and then click on the top edge of that vertical line, then press Enter. Now the right hand view is identical to the left. Okay, so before we move on to the next example, I just want to show you when trim doesn't work. So if we go up onto trim, let's say I want to trim this piece off. So I select this is my cutting plane, Enter. Now when I go to click this line, it shouldn't trim. And when I click it, it doesn't trim. And if you can see, there's a little icon just above the pick box, like a no entry sign. That's telling me that I can't trim it. And that's because the angled line doesn't cross over the plane of that vertical line. The angled line must cross over the cutting edge. So if that ever happens, then you just need to hit cancel and then just delete that as you would normally delete it. So you can either click on the pencil with the rubber on top or press delete on the keyboard and it's gone. So here's another example, and in this one we've got circles. So the process is exactly the same. We want the right hand image to look like the left hand image. If we go to trim, I want to click everything because I want to remove this tail piece, this piece, and also that part of the circle. So I want to click everything as my cutting plane. Press Enter and then just go around and trim off the bits that we don't need. Press Enter again and the job's done. Okay, so here's another example. Let's say we wanted to trim this line so that this came all the way back to that line there. We just want to keep this last little bit. So we click on trim. My cutting plane in this case is going to be that line there. Press Enter and click on the line to bring it all the way back. Enter again. Let's click on trim. Let's say the second line down, we want to come back to that line. So that's my cutting plane. Press Enter and click on the line to trim. It stops at the cutting plane that you selected. What if I wanted to take out a piece somewhere in the middle? So let's say that I wanted my third line down to start there, come all the way into there, have a gap, and then start again and continue out. So we click on trim, we select the two objects that we want to use as cutting edges, enter that, and then we nibble out the bit that we want to remove. Now the last demonstration I'd like to do is selecting everything as a cutting plane, and then you can go in and just chisel out little bits that you want to remove. So if I click on trim, now I'm not going to select any cutting planes, I'm going to press enter straight away, and what that tells AutoCAD is that I want to select everything as my cutting plane. It looks like nothing happens, but what it's done, it's selected everything. So now when I've done that, I can go in and just nibble little bits out. You can do windows to remove multiple lines, so we can go all the way across there like that with a window and trim all those out. But basically you can go in and just trim the pieces out that you want to remove. Press enter when you're finished. So those are a few examples of how trim works. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If so, please click on the like button and subscribe for more videos. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care.